to you, mentioning number of the name of the school. In fact, I don't know. This is a very short notice I've given them. Whether they will be able to do or not, I don't know. But they, in future, they will be contacting you, of course.
Okay, that is nice. That is nice. It is
We
already
can
4 o'clock, and if Maharaj and Ambasji kindly permit me and everybody else, should we start the program now?
Right. Yes, you can.
What is the attendance now? I mean, at present, people are joining.
People will join. We are already more than 10.
No, we can start actually. We can start. I mean, and also we can get some point.
People will gradually join slowly. So I start with a small prayer.
Good.
Om Ashato Ma Shat Gamayo
Gamaya.
Tamoso
Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya.
Mrittang Ma
Mrittarma Amritangamaya.
Om Purnamadat Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Shanti.
Om, from the unreal, lead me to the real. From darkness, lead me to light. From death, lead me to immortality. Om, all that is invisible is filled with infinite Brahman. All that is visible is also permeated by the infinite Brahman. The whole universe has come out of the infinite Brahman. Brahman is infinite, although the whole universe has come out of it. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good afternoon and a very hearty welcome to one and all in this concluding session of our over month-long series of webinars started on 20th February 2021. Actually, the origin of this activity is rooted to a webinar first held on 21st January 2021 when we had 3 experts speaking under the presiding role of taken by Srimati Stuti Kakkar, ex-chairperson, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. What a wonderful support we got to start this program, and who could be better pleader than the person who has experienced the responsibility to look after the child rights in the government as also as the head of the child rights body. Today, on this concluding session, we are extremely amused to welcome amongst us Swami Hitakamananda Maharaj, who is presently the head of Shillong Center of Ramakrishna Mission. Swamiji had joined the Ramakrishna Mission way back in 1976. If I am correct, it was after completing his BTech degree. Initially, 5 years he served the schools and colleges in Arunachal Pradesh. Subsequently, he served the schools and colleges of the mission at Sagodip, West Bengal, Coimbatore, Agartala, and Meghalaya. He also worked about 5 years at Belur Math, the headquarters of Ramakrishna Mission, and remained the head of law department there. With this versatile experience, deep study and understanding, we find in him a wonderful guide and unstinted supporter of our activities. We extend a very hearty welcome to you, Maharaj. Professor M.K. Ambasji has been extremely supportive to respond immediately to our appeal to request him to preside over this program. We extend our sincere and hearty welcome to Professor Ambas. He is a well-known personality in the field of school education, guided government planner and bureaucracy with his vast experience and knowledge in this field. Finally retiring as the chairman of the National Institute of Open Schooling. As a recognition, this is the epitome of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan as promoted by the government. We go before you, sir, for your contribution to the field of education for all, and look forward to your valued advice and guidance as to how each one of us can make a difference to make India a 100% literate country. Our hearty welcome to you once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to all the participants, experts, paper presenters during each of the webinars, well-wishers, guides, and friends whose cooperation and support have been pivotal for the success of the webinar. This webinar is beneficial to all. We wish this webinar is beneficial to all and bring about a positive change in the society. That will be the milestone to achieve through hard and difficult tasks, and it will be most meaningful and satisfactory fulfillment of our activity. Now I request our most honored speaker, Swami Hitagamananda Maharaj, to kindly deliver his presentation.
My deep regards, love and namaskars to all the persons whose precious experience of almost of whole life, except Pramita, who is still very much active, has enriched us. We are officially supposed to have 6 sessions, but this is the 7th session because on Pramita's first scheduled day, due to internet lack of connectivity, she could not connect. But that gave us another scope for additional learning under the initiative of Mr. Palhan, who shared so many ideas with us, and the others who were already connected, we shared. So actually, in the place of, we have got a bonus session in our prepared schedule. I am, in a way, an uncertified academician because I only for 12 to 13 years I had the scope to teach directly. The rest of the period I have always been mostly in educational institutions. Out of my 44.5 years of experience in Ramakrishna Mission, nearly 38 years I spent in educational institutions. Just 1 year non-academic assignment. And I have a love for this field. So what I am going to discuss, taking opportunity to share my experience with my learned listeners, it is a kind of proposition that I have felt need for. And if I want to give it some kind of a caption, it is my whole experience dealing with the students, parents, teachers, and my very sincere effort to implement the Indian education as originally conceived in Gurukula system and extremely advocated by Swami Vivekananda, that he likes this Gurukula model of education. It should be restructured as suited to the need of present time. I have tried my level best in very well structured institutions and in extremely poorly resourced institutions as well. And whenever I have time, without going to visit pilgrimages or centers of Tirtha, I make every opportunity to utilize study good institutions, our institutions and outside institutions. And what I am going to present before you within 30 minutes or 35 minutes is purely the need I have felt and the need which is not presently officially included in educational curriculum in India. Parenting is a very important subject, but formally it has never been taught in our education system. This is a great lacuna, I feel, in our education system. Teacher training and all other things have been modified from time to time. Academic curriculums have been restructured under various education commissions. Big ideas have been thrown, but much of it didn't see the light of the day. Moreover, I have felt, I don't request, or rather, I don't expect the listeners to share the same idea. I have felt that most of the time, the political choices got more priority over the idea which academicians, passionate teachers, passionate educationists prefer to implement. That have been one of the very negative side of Indian education system. We cannot blame the British era because that time we are not independent. But even after independence, it is mostly the political preferences overruled the real need that the academicians feel. Anyway, most of our participants here, they are not now associated with existing education system. So I happily share what I feel the need for. As I told you, Swami Vivekananda felt the Gurukula model of education is the most ideal thing to be followed. If we go to the Shikshavalli of Taittiriya Upanishad, the Acharya Upadesh, the place that the Acharya asks the outgoing or the graduated student to take, first of it comes Satyam Vada Dharmam Chara Swadhyayatma Pramada. Speak the truth, act as per the jurisdiction of Dharma. Dharma doesn't mean religion. I make alert. It means righteousness, truth, purity, unselfishness, and love and care for everything around. Not only human beings, but everybody. That is Dharma. Religion is, as they called it, mazhab or religious opinion or a particular outlook towards religion. That is not Dharma. So it is a very big thing. I don't go into details. Next it said, Madri Deva Bhava, Pitri Deva Bhava, Acharya Deva Bhava, Utiti Deva Bhava. Yani anabadhyani karmani, tani sevitamani, no itarani. The Acharyas are so practical. They are asking, that means what they expect from the students going out of Gurukula is, you become a man friendly to everything around, whatever be their identity, and not unrespectful. And mother, father, acharya, and atithi, they have been asked to be or instructed to be treated as just manifestation of God. What more stronger value system you can expect? But somehow, with the passage of time, we got deviated from it due to political turmoil in the country, foreign invasion, and so many other things. This went into the hindsight, and the mass education system that are introduced to us, there this concept was very much absent. It is all money making, career building, and business minded education system was put into system. Here and there, some small institutions are trying in their way. Even in Ramakrishna Mission, I don't think we have been able to do much, but we are struggling up there because we have to teach or accommodate our value system as per the requisition of the board or university. That we are rather bound to follow because the basic curriculum is framed by them. So we have very little scope to intervene there. Still, we are struggling. Now, what I felt is, directly in nearly 32 years, I worked as housemaster, right from primary level to college level, hostels. So I had to play simultaneously the role of father and mother and they set a role of an educator or a teacher, coupled with role of the administrator. So we have continuous tug of war. Students want to break rules, skip rules, and our job was to convince them, cajole them, sometimes to compel them to follow rules. So it was a kind of tug of war with which I spent 32 years. I came to the conclusion that the students who were troublemakers or almost uncorrigible or had very unwanted characteristic traits, they all came from unhappy families where parents do not have good relationship, or maybe they have some money, but they are ill reputation in the society. The what I can say, behavior modification and other exercises, regular at least pray, going to prayer hall, praying for a short time, concentration, and speaking of learning of the great heritage of the country that we tried to do, they were least interested in it because in the curriculum, these subjects are not mandatory to get the pass certificate. Whatever influence we could exert on them, just due to our own lifestyle. And we do not have always very capable manpower either, because we cannot get monks well trained in educational ideas and ideals and other things. They simply join, they are groomed in the system, and whoever are interested, they excel or they pick up values, and that is how we do. I was one of them. Now, the question is, human values is the prime identity of a human being. All other species in the nature, as our Hitabodas say, Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya and Maithun. They eat, they sleep, they are afraid of death, they procreate to maintain the line of progeny. The human beings are in common with them. What extraordinary thing human being has, these very concepts of righteousness, very sense of values that distinguishes them from other species. All other species, for their muscle power, might is right is their root. In case of human being, a sensible human being even endangers his own life and existence to help others. This is not found in animal world generally. When a man, so the growth of human beings depend upon the power of giving, not power of receiving. That is the unique thing about human beings. So Swami Vivekananda said that if there is anything sin in this world, anything called sin, it is selfishness. And unselfishness is God. Now, when we sum up all the teachings of the Gurukula that the Acharya is asking to abide by his outgoing students, their sum and substance is live for others. And Swamiji beautifully phrased it like, they alone live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive. And we people who have got together here for discussion this almost 1.5 months, actually all of us are unanimous about it. We are not active, but even in indirect way, we are trying to contribute to this value system. But in the informal talk, our Lotus chairman, he also highlighted. Now, how I get to these ideas? I went to Manu Samhita, and Manu Samhita, you know that Brahmacharya, Garastha, Vanprastha, Sannyasa, 4 stages, it is divided. 4 ashramas, 4 varnas, this total 16 categories. Every varna has 4 stages of Brahmacharya, Vanaprastha, Garastha, Sannyasa. So what is the role that the elders, teachers, others in the society and parents play in grooming a human being, a boy or a girl, into a finest adult who will be responsible for his own actions and who will be a gem, a jewel in this society, and will enrich society in every possible way. So there's a beautiful verse. It is available in the Garastha Parva Adhyaya of Manu Samhita. He states the teachers who play different role in grooming a child into adulthood, whose influence is to what extent. The sloka goes like this: Upadhyayan Dasacharya Acharyanam Atang Pitaha Sahasra Pitrin Mata Gauravena Atirichyate. In grooming, the foundation of a value-based life that will translate into blooming of a human being into a finest human being, there 4% work as teachers. First is Upadhyaya. Upadhyaya is teaches only theory, but he doesn't go to that extent to influence the checks and balances whether the student is properly grooming or not. It is something like, I have taught my subject, whatever was in the syllabus, now it is your business. Do or not do. If he is given 1 point credit, then an Acharya, who other than teaching, also inspired the student to a value-based life with his own actions. Because he shows by Acharya or behavior or Shila, he is called Acharya. The word teacher comes from Western viewpoint of teach education, that we can teach others. In Indian system, we say knowledge is within. The different category of teachers, including parents, they help the child to manifest that educational values of the perfection that is already within the child. As Swami Vivekananda's well-known definition, manifestation of perfection as education. So similarly, Acharyas do this job. Ya chinati sa shastrartham acharya sthapayatyapi swayam aravate jasmat acharya stena kirtita. The definition says. Without digression, we come back. A father's credit is equal to 100 acharyas. One acharya is 10 times upadhyaya. A father's credit is 100 times, or the responsibility 100 times more than an acharya who teaches at the same time, works as a role model. And a mother's credit is 1,000 times the father. Sahasra pitrin mata gauravena utarichyate. Upadhyayan dasacharya acharyanang satang pitaha sahasra pitrin mata gauravena utarichyate. So you see, in our traditional system, what we are trying to, in spite of all our limitations, trying to put into practice. The teachers are categorized into not only the school or college teachers, elementary school, secondary, higher secondary, college teachers. No. The most important basic is done. And modern progress in prenatal science, it says we learn 70% or even 75% of the life strategies right when we are in the mother's womb. Mother's trauma, mother's likes, mother's dislikes, mother's food, mother's language, everything influences us. It is now studied in prenatal science. And systematically, the children can be made interested, they would be children, in a specific subject if parents carefully program it. It can be done. So this is a different subject. What I want to mean here is role of parents is even more than the research in schools and colleges. In our olden system, that is why our parents used to send attested for 10 to 12 years a child into Gurukul. King child, Brahmin child, the three varnas who are intellectually capable enough, their children are sent to Gurukula and they used to stay there In modern system that we are following, almost every 1.5 months, 1 month or 2 months, our students go back to home, and whatever we teach in between, whatever regulation we make, they get washed up when they come back. So the modern day Gurukul system, it is not possible. Even Ramakrishna Mission system is not adequate enough. From my 44 years experience, I tell you. But we are trying, whatever is possible. Moreover, in the Gurukula system, Guru and the Guru Mata, they live a life of highest principle, simplest living, highest thinking, extremely established in value. That is why the Acharya Brahmanas, who is to maintain Gurukula, they were giving the highest position whenever a Srishti, a king, or a rich person or a businessman is organizing any family function, they were given maximum amount of things. Why? Because the Acharya maintains the children at his cost. He doesn't take anything. So it was king's responsibility, ruler's responsibility, royal officer's responsibility, businessman's responsibility to see that in a Acharya who runs a Gurukula, they do not suffer from the basic needs. With the falling of the royal system and foreign investment, etc., all the things got disturbed, and we have become a hotspot at present. Anyway, the point I am trying to bring down is, now in the present setup, with my 44 years of experience, I have found it is only the father and mother who can play the role of the Acharya or the Guru now. Suppose we who are participating in this seminar, most of us almost informally got that guidance. How? From our senior parents, grandparents, elder uncles, elder relatives, joint family system. They helped us to remain in a close-knit situation. And because many people are sitting in a big family, we learn sharing and caring as a natural way. Brothers and sisters, they are staying together in a joint family. So sharing was a very common feature. I grew in a family where there are around 25 members. And we used to get same type of dress. So the earning of our fathers, uncles, you are not uniform. But there was one head in the family and his wife. They are the actually king and queen of the family. And they used to take care that whatever be the difference in income of different brothers, but children, then their wife, family men, housewives, they will be given equal treatment. You see, if you take note and analyze, the greatest leaders in this country who have made India proud for their actions, due to their actions, they came from mostly joint family. This breaking of joint family and now conversion in nuclear family have created a big vacuum. We are living mostly due to our job and earning in cities and urban areas in a cosmopolitan setup. We do not learn, children do not get to learn community values, their traditional values, the greatness and the tradition that are prevalent in their family for generations. And in between, there are so many contradictory forces up there. We had limited exposure to the world. Now this internet and other things have given so much exposure to the students. It has become another big impediment in guarding them from getting channelized into wrong channels. They are so well informed. Even parents cannot cope up with their need. So in this situation, the only way out, I think, to keep safe, secure, and value-based our younger generation is, we must teach what good parenting is. If you can stay along with your elderly parents, well and good. But even if you don't stay with them, the young boys and girls, young mothers and fathers, they must know, they should be taught systematically how great, what a big responsibility it is to become a parent. Just becoming a parent biologically is not enough. You have to be honest and sincere and a role model before your child. Otherwise, if you cannot hide any of your weaknesses from your children. So if you fail to behave as a role model, there is no hope for your children. And after analyzing the mindset and background of the hardcore criminals that the world has ever seen, it has been found, they never receive good care, love, and affection when they are very young. And that has made them cruel, sadistic, and so many other things. So my question is, olden day Gurukula will not come back now. It is the parents themselves who has to take the responsibility of guiding their children as role models. But can it happen naturally? No. So my proposition is, those of you who have any amount of influence in our policy making system, educational system, I request all of you that we should create a graded syllabus on parenting, and right from class 2 onwards, when the girls started getting married first, boys get little later. From class 11 to 12 itself, there should be systematic compulsory study of parenting. Parenting is a big responsibility, very big responsibility. You have to handle the society, handle the income, keep balance in conflicting members and other things. So much more than a teacher who attends the student only in school or college for a few hours, and has much greater role to play. And they should be taught, guided through workshop and so many other ways. Now all guardians get meeting from school is parents meeting. That also for increasing fees and other things. And if the children does anything wrong, call the parents. It's not the way. How they can discharge their responsibility in a complicated, disturbing setup, cosmopolitan setup, unless they know it, what to do and what not to do. How to help the child, how to understand the child's real inclination and give him proper follow-up. Nowadays, many childs suffer. As an employer, I have hundreds of people I have interviewed, and many cases I have heard. This person whom we are trying to employ, he has studied in a branch which he didn't like, but his parents forced him. It is this method. So, in the last 6 sessions, we have discussed enough about child development, adolescence problem, Mr. Ruma, then Mr. our other person, anything. Only Pramita, he is still working as a counselor. We heard her. Then Mr. Ghatok, though he spoke on a topic which is expected to be not much related, but actually what is said, it shows that Einstein's parents didn't do justice to him. We knew that. Then the bonus session we got where Mr. Palhan spoke about his experiments, his activities. I was extremely benefited by it. Mrs. Kakkar, she also spoke brilliantly. So I have nothing to add. Only this topic, I request all of you to consider these ideas. Now, what to teach and what not to teach, all of you know very well. But the question is, behavior modification is the basis of a value-based life. Parents themselves, they have to come forward to take the responsibility. Complaining, giving blame on neighbors, very bad atmosphere, very bad society, these are meaningless. Whatever be the situation, once you have decided to bring a child into this world, have at least 2 children so that they know minimum sharing. The single child is a big problem. All are moody, whimsical, pampered, and they mostly do not know how to manage themselves. Dignity of labor is a big society, big cause for unemployment, large unemployment in our society. Why? The white collar jobs are preferred, manual jobs are neglected, or we hate it. Why? The vision is we keep domestic help in our family. By keeping domestic help for manual work, we are giving a wrong signal to the children itself that if you are poor, if you don't study, then you have to do all these things. Are we not teaching indirectly to hate a certain section of people? Why in a civilized society a profession called cleaners, sweepers could remain? Can we take pride in it? Never. So like this, keeping community relationship is a very important thing. Children who are thrown in hostels like Ramakrishna Mission or any other, they don't know how to handle a bad neighbor, how to handle a wicked neighbor, how to word the bullish type people, muscle men in the family. If they grow in the lap of parents, but get all kind of assistance, they know how to handle these difficult situations, which are almost unavoidable wherever he may be later, with the family or out of family. So all, without going into much detail, we can time discuss and all of that things. I want to all the persons with whose experience I have already been enriched and who are already connected with us. So let us all sit together and try to create a kind of syllabus for parenting that will encourage honest earning, savings, investment, making public relation, community relationship, sticking to the traditional values that the family has inherited by generations. All these things should part. At the same time, he should consider himself his personal gain secondary compared to the greater gain or the benefit or the well-being of the nation at large. They should be patriotic, they should be truthful, patient, understanding. As Swamiji used to say, purity, patience, perseverance are the three essentials of life, above all love. So these are the core values, and it can be taught by parents best. A teacher who associates with the child only for a limited hour in a school, that also under various situations, we cannot expect so much from him, because today's teachers mostly are teachers not by choice, but under compulsion. Teachers by chance, we cannot expect much. Only a small number of dedicated teachers are there who take the responsibility, but they are so minuscule in number. So my conclusion is, or rather the proposition is, we should teach parenting systematically to a student +2 onwards as a compulsory subject in all streams, technical, non-technical, medical, engineering, professional, everything, including administration. But after all, most of the people will become family men or family women later, and they have to take responsibility of their children. Let us teach them in this complicated and changed scenario of India how they can best discharge their responsibility. Again, thanking and expressing my gratitude and indebtedness to all the former speakers, I conclude. Thanks to Sushanta Babu, who has given me the opportunity to participate in this series of seminars. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much for that illumined speech. Lot of things to learn from you. And before I request Professor Ambas to give his talk, should we have the question answers first, or Professor Sab, do we have the question answer afterward? What is your question?
I thought if I make my remarks,
Yes.
then the question answer could include both my presentation and Swamiji's presentation.
Okay, that is better. We can go like that.
Right.
So I will request you to kindly give your talk.
Thank you very much. I am beholden to Swami Hitakamanandaji for his nice presentation and anticipating what I was going to say in my uh, chairman's remark. I would put it rather a little differently, although in sum and substance is the same, but I will put a little bit of a present day rational approach. The first thing is that the natural style of learning of any species, I am saying any species, and particularly the human, is by process of imitation. So when a child is born in Germany, by imitation, it learns German. A child born in North India learns his mother tongue language by imitation. The child, when it grows up, it learns to walk on two legs by process of imitation. So imitation is the natural style of learning. The other one that we adopt in school is the learning by process of suggestion. So imitation is intrinsic, imitation is natural, and imitation is permanent. And therefore, the Swamiji in his entire talk dwelt upon the role of parent, the environment. These are all factors that lead to development of the newly born child into a human species as such. And the values that child imbibes is by process of imitation within the family, within the immediate environment, and then later on neighborhood and school. So, coming from the discipline of, in the field of education, I confine myself to the role of teachers and particularly the teachers in preschool education. The child learning process, innate learning process, being by imitation, it acquires the mannerism, the habits, that he sees in the teacher, because teacher is the role model of every child. And if you want to experiment it, just tell a nursery going or KG going child that your teacher is wrong. Just tell it. And you'll find that the child revolts and says, no, the teacher is not wrong. Because teacher is the role model. So this puts added responsibility on the teachers, particularly of the nursery and primary stage. And they must be made conscious that you are being critically observed at every moment of your interaction with the child in the school situation. Your mannerism is being inadvertently copied because it is the intrinsic style of learning, is the process of imitation. Therefore, your behavior is being imitated by as many number of children as you have as your student. So, if the teacher is not conscious of it, if the teacher is not is not watchful of his or her own conduct, then there is likelihood to be an inadvertent impression on the children that he or she is teaching. Now, this brings to you, in the old Gurukula system, why children were taken away from the society and put in the Gurukul. Because the influences, social environmental influences that was available in the home or the villages was not desirable, and they were taken out to the sylvan surroundings where appreciation for nature, the role of nature, the environment, environmental lack of, the absence of environmental pollution, and austere way of life, etc., were brought into the immediate environment of the child. Now, this had a great impact on. There was one community living also in that ashram. So this had a great impact on the development of the personality of the child, which was not, I would say, which was natural style, living together, etc., etc. So those were the days of yore. Now in the present system, how can we bring in this consciousness among the teachers that you are not only giving information to the child, you are not information equal to knowledge at this moment, I am saying, which is not true. I am very well aware that knowledge is not equal to information. But the textbooks, the books, the instructional processes that we have in our system is only transferring information which has now been taken away by the digital platform. So, knowledge is much more comprehensive. Knowledge leads to understanding, leads to development of skill, mental as well as motor skill, leads to habit formation, and which leads to attitudinal build-up, and finally it leads to the values. So any seriatim which breaks in between is not education. Education is not information. It's not the information that you memorize. It is the value that you imbibe through this whole process of this ladder of knowledge, understanding, skill, habit, attitude, and values. So, in the present set of system, there are two evils in this present day of system. One is that we have replaced education, quote unquote, with transference of knowledge given into textbook, and evaluating this knowledge in terms of how much you retain in your memory and how much you vomit out in your examination. I've used this very harsh word, vomit out in your examination, and you can afford to forget it in the next few months, because once evaluation is done and you have been rated, how much have you retained in your mind and how much have you have been able to translate the answer book. So this is not, and whatever change in personality is coming is not by design, but by the nature of this continuum, knowledge, understanding, skill, habitat. It is by this because the nature is such, but it is not by design. Nobody is bothered while writing a textbook or while transacting a textbook that I am teaching, why am I teaching what I am teaching? Nobody answers. I have written a very small booklet on that. Why are we teaching what we are teaching? If the teacher, the transactor, knows why this lesson, what is the purpose of this lesson, what is the behavior modification that is going to make impact on the child's learning. So this is what Swamiji has been stressing throughout just in the previous lecture, that behavior modification, living in society, living with the parents, living with for the community, etc., are the things that we need to develop. Information today in digital world is available at the top. With the click of a button, you can get any information, whatever you want. But the change, the personality, the view, how you think, how you behave, how you live in a society, how you are, your compassion, the components of values, compassion, living together, truthfulness, honesty. These are the things that needs to be helped to. I don't say inculcated. They are there in how you need to uncover them and to bring it to the fore in the personality of the learner. So, friends, I feel that there is a need to look at, for a relook with the main question. One, why are we teaching what we are teaching? Two, whether I am acting or behaving as in the capacity of a teacher to be a role model worth copying by my children, learners, whatever they may be. Third, we have to see evaluation. Now, evaluation per se, whether it is CBSE or an iOS or for that matter any board, no board rates the quality of human being that you are. It rates how much you got in physics, how much you got in mathematics. You are 100 percentile or 99 percentile in this. So, but what kind of human being are you? Who certifies that? Absolutely, there is none. So, I may be a very poor academically, but I may be an excellent human being. In the case of Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi never got A grades in everything, and yet he was a great human being. So, what I am trying to say is that it is high time that we need to have a relook on how we teach our younger ones, how we prepare our next generation. In this connection, let me point out one in 2-3 sentences. When Navodaya Vidyalayas were established, the original phrase that brought it into the system was, why can't every district have a Doon school? This is what Rajiv Gandhi said. People started working on that. But I personally feel that if this Navodaya Vidyalaya system is extended extensively and remodeled, I am using this word remodeled, on the pattern of our ashrams, which protects the child from extraneous forces, social forces like greediness, like self-serving, like self-centered personality. If you adapt this Navodaya Vidyalaya system to in the Gurukul system, make it available in large numbers, perhaps we may be going in the right direction of producing human values, human beings with capital H. That we may be in the process of churning out real human beings out of the system, rather than a self-seeking, self-centered, self-aggrandizing mankind, which looks to its own need as a primary need. Others are not their concern, or if they are not by design. If I am helping somebody, it's not by design of my training, but because of other factors like home environment, parental influences, and whatever it is. So, my friends, I still think that we need to. I usually call it. People sometimes people call that I am obsessed with that. Why are we teaching what we are teaching? In my slogan, I ask myself, why am I teaching this? Why can't computer can do? Why can't Google can do? Where do I make a difference? From what Google is doing and from what I am? I am bringing it humanism. I am bringing human elements into the knowledge components. So if that be so, then we need to have a relook at that. And present National Policy of Education has tried to look at it, but the mechanism that it has worked out are yet a dream, I would say, a pipe dream. You see, one question. Education is not for job. Education is for human being, humanism. Job is a byproduct. If you change the goal, we are changing the goal. Earlier, education was for bringing out the best in the human being to be able to live in society in harmonious way. Today, that goalpost has been changed. Now education is for earning and making your life more pleasurable, more comfortable, leaving aside the society around you. So this shift in the goalpost has made a great impact, and all the ills are emanating out of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. You have really given some very, very thought-provoking inputs, which has very, very deep meaning and philosophy to work on, and very great responsibility on each one of us, I believe, and probably with the administration and the government also. So let us see how best we can do it, and we can always just now have more questions from people, participants here, so that we can elaborate on the topics that have been discussed. Can we have the questions now, please? Anybody who will speak first?
Spell out the question first.
Anybody who can question, who would take up the question first, please come forward. Geeta ji, you have been Professor Ambas has talked specifically on the textbooks also and the teachers also. So you are.
Can you hear me? Where is it? I can't find my turning on my mic. Can you turn on my mic?
Right, it is already on.
Okay. Good evening to you all. It was wonderful. Sorry, I was struggling in the beginning with my laptop, which has crashed. So then I got it onto the phone. So I missed the initial 8-9 minutes of the talk. But Swamiji, it was so close to my heart, like what you spoke. The Western education system that came up in the 18th century was successful because our Gurukul system, like you said, which was the perfect system, actually started deteriorating because it was not updated. Any program, educational program, has to change and evolve with time, sir. Right? Everybody, I'm sure, agrees on that. And because we were lax for whatever reasons, that people did not realize that they should update the system, update it according to the times. If the world, in the 16th century, 15th century is moving towards science, we also needed to. We had it all, but we did not update it. And so people cashed on, and the colonists, they started the Western education system. Raja Ram Mohan Roy also, to in his way, to overcome sati and all those, we are aware of these things. He also promoted the Western education system, and it had its drawbacks because our education system was destroyed. The ancient education system was destroyed, and that was what we learned from history books, to rule over us, literally. They took over. So you rightly pointed out that we need to change and evolve according to the times, and we need to update our system of conveying the old wine in new bottle. That is very important, that new bottle and how we go about it. And the point that you brought out was very, very good, that we need to have training for parents, where they are updated as to how to handle the children. Children are great everywhere. Sir, I would like to know, wouldn't this be very important for teachers also, that we need to make those who are transacting the systems, the curriculum designers make such a fantastic program, the policy makers at the top have got such vision, but when it has to be transacted at level, we fail. For 10 years we cannot convey to the child what is supposed to be done. So isn't a program for the teachers very, very important, and a bridge course for the children, but probably a bridge courses for the teachers first, as to how to transact, how to change their mindset, and how to evolve? So that is the question. That isn't there. What do you suggest for the teachers? A program for the teachers.
I once tried to formulate a curriculum. Yes, Sushant Babu, may I take up this question?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
May I?
May I prepare a great. Yes. All right. Okay. Okay, Mr. Dasi, if you want to take it up, you take it up. Then I shall talk afterwards.
Shall I come in here?
Yes, the reply can be given, I believe, or
Yeah.
replies can be given later.
Thank you, Mrs. Duggal. I'm really I'm mighty happy that you raised this issue. You see, when B.Ed course was being extended from 1 year to 2 years, I was the chairman of the curriculum committee of the NCPE, which made changes. And I brought in education in human values as one of the very strong areas in the curriculum. Now, you see, it has become a 4-year program, integrated 4-year program, along with the subject areas. Now, this whole curriculum revision needs to be undertaken with greater vigor. And you may call it my obsession, but I feel that every subject that we teach in the transactional process, that's it, BA, BSc, BEd, there is a need to ask. In the present day scenario, when the information is growing by leaps and bounds, and there are hundreds of sources from where information can be gathered, even without teacher, the content of teacher training program needs to rather overemphasize on behavior modification by the training program. He or she should always be cognizant of the fact that why is she teaching? What is the ultimate goal of teaching? The ultimate goal of teaching has shifted from providing information to making a change in the personality of both the teacher and in turn of the taught. So the emphasis is not on transfer of information from one source to other. It is the kind of molding the structure. So the entire content and training of teacher training, whether it is nursery teacher training or school teacher training, it needs to be revisited seriously in the light of the specific recommendation of National Policy on Education. One more thing I was saying, no university teacher, and I am saying with capital no university teacher has been trained in the skill of andragogy. The style in which the children learn is very different from the style with the adults learn. Adults reason more. Adults try to see pros and cons or evaluate what teacher is saying. But the children, they don't evaluate. They take it as a hard and as an absolute truth. So here there is a different set of people, learner people with a different set of intrinsic qualities, which takes things as told. But in the university system, there is a questioning. So tell me, any teacher of any subject, physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, philosophy, who has been trained, formally trained, to reason out, learning, I call it a process of learning together. In the process of learning together, no university teacher is trained. And I personally feel that there is a need of the different style of teaching at the university at a higher level, which is the process of learning together. Here it was, in the school stage, it was teaching was learning by suggestion. The teacher would suggest and the student will take it as an absolute truth. But in the higher education, there is a questioning of the learner questions. And therefore, the teacher has a different role. That is learning together. Right?
Sir,
What I was trying to say, Mr. Dubel.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir,
yes,
one
yes.
may I have your permission? What you have brought out is so important. My submission is, why can't, when we have these bridge courses to teach subjects, why can't we have a bridging, like you have a thematic teaching in the curriculum of the children? Why can't the teacher training programs also be bridged together or thematically be taught, so that they don't do their first year and forget what they did in first year by the time they come to third year? All our courses, like when we taught, say my subject was geography, and I was teacher to Mr. Dev's son. And it was all the batches that one taught, one was so excited teaching the same book to different batches, because one was learning and growing and so much was happening, and it's happening at a faster pace today. But what happens is that they have broken up that 100 marks paper into 35 or 37 or whatever, they keep changing it for different subjects in social science. But there is no connectivity between, the same textbook has been broken up into 9th and 10th. I'm talking of CBSE syllabus, but there is no connectivity when there is supposed to be a connectivity. The same thing, we talk about it, but the teacher does not transact it. So in the teacher training program only, there should be a kind of a thematic teaching where what she's doing in first year is connected to second year, is connected to third year, and is connected in the fourth year. So do you think such a program would be more successful in teacher training rather than have a system of increasing it from 1 year to 4 years? Because output will still not be there if it is done like this. Is just a small submission from my part and a question whether you think it will work.
Yeah, I am with you. I am with you on that.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Swamiji.
Now, what I was telling is, suppose including parenting education right from a higher secondary level onwards is one thing. We are preparing the coming generation for the role they will play. But immediately we need to take some step to educate the current guardians. So I started a structure for this because I have been working on it for many years. So my idea is the people who are teacher, that means teaching other people's children, maybe their children also they are in the same school, or who will soon marry and have children. So the teacher parent should be taught first what is parenting, because it is they who will influence the child's life most. Then our priority should be already the young parents who doesn't know or are not taught formally what parenting is. Bring them together, and it will be done by every school are teaching their children, to educate parents. We are trying to give this value system to your child. This child is staying with you most of the time, 18 hours of the day. So you please follow up and give us feedback whether he is behaving or she is behaving contrary to what she is being encouraged to do. So first we need to train teacher parents, then young parents, and in this way, in a graded manner, we need to penetrate into the society. Once the system gets included into academic curriculum and all educational institutions pay attention to it, slowly the awareness among the parents about their tremendous role to guide students to actually really conscious and value-oriented human being who will not consider personal gain or prosperity at the cost of humanity or human values, that will get slowly spread up. Why I tell that the parents should be given priority, because if you in general study, because most of you are experienced teacher or teacher educators, you have seen certainly, because I am in Coimbatore, and there we have 4 teacher training colleges of all levels, including physical education and the disability management teachers, inclusive education teachers. So I used to have constant interaction with them, and I found that many of them have come to teaching or studying B.Ed, etc., because they had no other. That means they are not passionate enough to teach. So to motivate them, we had to organize a different kind of curriculum, where we used to tell them whether you are a teacher by passion or a teacher by choice. Once you have taken this as profession, raise yourself to meet the challenges that you are expected to handle. So my question is, let us teach the teachers, teach the young parents and the teacher friends. And counseling and other systems are already available in our system to handle the troubled children. That is a totally different issue. One is Pramita, I think a few days back in our last seminar, Pramita gave us some education. So this is my plan, that we have to divide it into those whose children are not yet studying in the system. They also have to be taught, because they are also affect the neighbor children. At the same time, an educational institution should make it a sheer point, at least to organize 4, 5 or 6 sessions in a year to educate their guardians or the children who are reading on those institutions. In this way, the parenting education may be given to existing parents and would-be parent as well.
Maharaj, I may also put a question. It is a question or what, I don't know. With my very little experience, I have seen that there could be very contrasting information given to the child, one by the teacher, one by the parent. The teacher will say, "Beta, you must share things with everybody." Parent will go in the home, parent will teach the child, no, beta, don't share anything with anybody. It is your personal. This is one example I'm saying. But there are very critical and difficult areas with the present circumstances in the present social system. Parents are many times giving very, very odd lessons to the child. It is to be odd in the society and is a common member of the society. And the teacher has to face that. The teacher faces the child when the child has a wrong education at home. Am I right?
Yes, you are clear. It is
wrong teaching.
Experience with this type of parents that brought me to the necessity of the parenting education.
And
I have worked with first time some parents quite a lot.
and then what happens? Those very parents go to the school and fight with the teachers that why you have not ensured that my son or my daughter has got this thing.
I think Dugal can help us. Yeah.
I'll give you a very interesting example. I'm reminded of in Rohtak, there was my pre-primary, 3-year-old child whose mother came and said the teacher is teaching wrong and what is this and all. Now I said there's got to be the teacher is also very nice, the parent is also very nice, and I had this conflict which I had to solve. And then I went to the classroom and saw, and the controversy was the child said, sheep gives us cotton. And the parent said, the teacher is teaching sheep gives us cotton. What is she teaching? I just walked into the classroom because I said, both people are nice. There has to be the child something is wrong. Let me go and find out. And I went to the classroom and I saw a beautiful chart on which the teacher had made lovely things like from hen we get eggs, from sheep we get wool. And to give that woolly effect, she had put cotton balls on the picture of the sketch of the sheep. And so the child knew what was cotton. And so she said to her mother that sheep gives us cotton. So sometimes teachers miscommunicate, or whatever action that they take is misconstrued and conveyed to the parent, and the parent loses it because there's an element of jealousy. I feel the parents feel so much time my child is spending with the teacher, I don't get that time because of exigencies of service.
Very right, very right.
An element of jealousy. And so when we in schools we learn to, and we are trained to put together and understand that we are standing in for the parent, the goal is the same, the development of the child, and then there is no this thing. I'll also take a little time, if I may have your permission, Mr. Deb. This was very interesting that Swamiji had brought out about teaching about parenting to the teacher. Well, in some countries, I have just heard, I don't know details, to avoid promiscuity and to teach children, they have problems like teenage pregnancies and things. They actually give robos, of babies to the child, and they have to, within 1 meter or so, you cannot leave. You're tied with a thread to the baby, and the baby starts screaming the moment you leave it, even for a little while. So they put it in the mind of these children who are 9, 10, 11, 12, that look, if you have if you have a baby or get pregnant, it's a major responsibility. Can you handle that responsibility? So they are made to. So there are ways of teaching the teacher or teaching about parenting to various. I'm just giving an example which is way disconnected, but in some way connected, that people have in different countries worked out methods of teaching parenting to any people of any age. And if you're aware of which countries, I'm not sure. I'm sure if we do some research and find out what Swamiji's idea is, such a fantastic idea, there would be something that stimulates our mind about teaching parenting actually with the, like say having robos or, young teachers who are not married having to teach, situations or role play or something like that. So is there some country which you are aware of where they're doing something for teachers already to teach them parenting, or
I think there are. I believe
there are. Yes. But it's a wonderful thought and very important. So
yeah.
that brings the connectivity between the two august speakers. And what
Mr. Prakash Bose, sir, kindly speak.
I don't have such a question, but I want to, if you allow me, I can just share a few of my experience actually. As Sushanto says, I started my teaching career in 67 and this is 71. Still, I am connected with the school system in all the institutions. Even your Ahmad Saab, I was worked for you also, open school, and all. In fact, all the education institution connected with it. So my point is that don't trust everything on the teacher. Even the teachers are just. If you train the teacher well, that will not do the thing actually. It is teacher is just a laborer, a worker, a professional. He does what according to the need of the society. I just share with you. The CBSE gave me a project on the Tibetan school. the Tibetan school organization, and it was that they have got their seat reserved in all the medical colleges, engineering colleges, technical colleges, ITs also. But in spite of that thing, it is just in general that they are unable to get fulfill the requirement, and they are unable to get the admission in with the result the seats are going vacant. The project was just we have to study, but there was a footnote from the Dalai Lama ji. His Holiness added that whether my Tibetan children become a doctor or a technocrat or an engineer, that is not important. They should become a good human being. This is number one. Number two is that a teacher is teaching the children not for as the whatever the bookish thing by what they are taught in the B.Ed class, but they teach them as per the need of the society, as per the demand of the parent. The parent. I just tell you, one IS officer, he was my superior. His mother wanted to be he should be a engineer from IIT. He could not. Then he forced into this FITZI and this Akash and this institution. He just admitted his son into the profession, into the college, paid at that time it was some 1.25 lakhs actually, the package, and he wanted that his son should be a engineer. What happened? That boy stopped going there, and then he just said because you are doing counseling for the CBSE for a long time. I did for a long time actually. He was still connected with that actually. You just I shall be coming to your house, residence, and you just make them understand this boy. I just spent so much money for them. He become an engineer, but he's so careless. He's not honoring my wish. Then I say I went to them personally. I thought it is better. I should pay it. Then in the room there are two sons. The parent, mother, and the father was there. Then I asked different questions. Of course, the parent diluted me. He gave me a hint that diluted me. They say that आप इनको थोड़ा बहुत मतलब वो जो है ना मेरे पॉइंट देखना जी ये इंजीनियरिंग क्यों नहीं पढ़ने चाहते. तो आई जस्ट कैजुअली बातें करते हुए मैंने उससे पूछा है अरे तुम्हारा प्रॉब्लम क्या है, तुम्हारे पिताजी देखो इतने सैक्रिफाइस कर रहे हो, तुम्हारे लिए प्रॉब्लम क्या है. तो देन आई फाउंड दैट they don't talk to each other. The mother, father, they have got everything. They go to the restaurant, they go to say everything, food or everything, whatever they facility. But mother then told me afterward, आप बिलीव नहीं करेंगे हमारे घर में सब कुछ है लेकिन हंसी नहीं है. And the boy, what he did the manager, तुम्हारा प्रॉब्लम क्या है? तो he just इशारा में दिखाए, this man is my problem. मैं इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ने नहीं चाहता हूं, ये मुझे जबरदस्ती पढ़ाने चाहते हैं. अच्छा, द टीचर क्या करते हैं? टीचर जो है, मोस्ट ऑफ द टीचर एज पर द नीड ऑफ द सोसाइटी, एज पर द नीड ऑफ पेरेंट्स, वो तो स्कूल में तो जैसे पढ़ाते वेरी सिंसियरली. स्पेशली द लेडी टीचर इज डूइंग वंडरफुल वर्क. घर के सारे काम करते हैं, पढ़ाते भी है, और ऑफ कोर्स वो ट्यूशन नहीं करते. और बॉय जो है, मेल टीचर, दे आउटसाइड, देयर इज लॉट ऑफ डिमांड एक्चुअली. वो जाके बाकी सबको पढ़ाते हैं क्योंकि इसको क्या है, रैट रेस में आ जाए, ये परीक्षा में अच्छा नंबर आ जाए, इसको कहीं अच्छा एडमिशन मिल जाए, अच्छा नंबर मिलेंगे, अच्छा नंबर मिलने से अच्छा नौकरी करेंगे, अच्छा नौकरी करने से बहुत पैसा है. दिस इज अल्टीमेटली द फैक्ट एक्चुअली. दिस इज अ रियल फैक्ट इज दैट वो टीचर को हम चाहे जितने भी कहे देखो ऐसे तुम्हें पढ़ाना चाहिए, दैट विल नॉट डू वर्क अनलेस अंटिल वी पीपल, द सोसाइटी, they change their mindset actually. मेरे सब कुछ ये है कि the girls, many of the girls, they are doing very high-fi job. रात को 2:30 बजे मेरे भांजी का फोन आया कि 2:30 बजे कहता तुम्हारा 15 मिनट के लिए मीटिंग है. मतलब MNC में काम करते हैं बहुत. तो ये they are after money, not after the, जैसे उन्होंने कहा था ना कि दलाई लामा जी, they should become a good human being. अरे छोड़ो, ह्यूमन बीइंग तो बाद में देखे जाएंगे, पहले तो मैं नौकरी कर लूं, पहले तो मैं इनकम कर लूं. I stop it here, otherwise it will continue actually. This time I have got experience for so many years actually.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And we can, yes, Geeta ji. Yeah, Geeta ji, your
Mike.
mic. Geeta ji, your mic is mute. Please unmute it. Please unmute your mic.
Yeah.
Now it is okay.
Right. Okay. So, like we have inspirational stories for children and motivational stories for children, can we think, or can the curriculum designers for the B.Ed course, or even ongoing in-service education, also have some very interesting, like Chicken Soul and all these series are so good, but basically what we want to teach the teachers, or what we want the teachers to change in their mindset, can we do it through stories for teachers also, by having examples of great teachers, or touching stories, not broad generic stories, but touching specific stories that touch the heart. After all, that is why we teach the children certain things, to give them some information, maybe to touch their emotional side, or the joy quotient being involved in teaching profession. Just an idea for, I'm just saying this because all of you are so well connected, you can probably put it in the ears of the right people.
So here I want to add one thing. We are again going back again and again to teachers. My question is, all responsibility should not be thrust upon teachers. They have limitations, and sometimes parents themselves are a problem in receiving what teacher teaches. So my question is about this educating parents. This aspect is always being not taken into cognizance. That
Swami,
is what I
actually,
think.
my point is also that actually.
So this parenting education should be included, and let us teach parenting to the existing teachers and also the would-be teachers first, so that they understand the seriousness. At least I have seen that those who are very good in guiding their students, all of them are very good teachers also. I give you a simple example of Sudha Murthy. I just hold her up as a role model, you see. She was an extremely brilliant student all through, but she stayed with teaching only just to guide her to children. Because out of 360 days, by her own admission, Narayana Murthy used to say 360 days out of book. So to guide the children, she took to teaching because it allowed her maximum time to guide the children. And they have grown up very well. So this is what a parent can do. So the parent teachers can play a most effective role. Then let us educate parents systematically and make it a compulsory educational activity. Then teachers will be much more effective even with their present set of knowledge and skill. Because it is the parents who effectively follow up what is taught in a school, their children succeed. And we have I never had any problem with a conscious and good, effective parent, knowledgeable parent, or who adhered to what is suggested, followed up what is suggested. It is the parents who only give money and said the school will do everything. All problems are with these children. All through I have said.
We can have
so parenting education has to be included in teacher education, or only parenting education, wherever you know, and in all disciplines.
We will take one more question. Snigdha, are you ready for any question? Or
yes, I do have question. Like sometimes, the parents are very talkative, or they talk along, but the child is always shy. So what do you think the reason must be?
I think the experienced teachers can solve, teacher educators can solve this problem.
You should have asked the question to the child specialist that we had before. But today we have a teacher who can speak something. Geeta ji can say something.
Well, you can say that
because the child psychologist none are here today.
Okay.
So would you like me to say something?
Yes, yes, madam, if possible, because the child psychologists are not there.
Yeah,
I thought,
yeah. They are the right people to answer this,
yeah,
but from whatever exposure I have had, when I say teachers need to be, they are very good. We have such good teachers, sir. All of you, sirs, I have had the fortune of traveling pan India to share with teachers whatever is in jargon I simplify, and teacher training programs I have been involved in. And I found the teachers are so sweet, they are so nice, they want to do things, but they don't know. The older generation has retired, the young generation has come up, they don't know all the psychology, or and they're so schools are doing workshops. So responsibility of the teacher cannot be wished away. And yes, a suggestion is that the principals could be involved, because they are more mature and they can guide every day. If a complete program is there for them to keep on mentoring the teachers rather than expecting. Now, coming to her question, Sindha's question, where the parent is very talkative, so the children are children are very, very uh, sensitive to the parent behavior, whether it was 30, 40, 50 years ago or today. When a parent comes to school, the child is watching the behavior, because his own respect is involved. His own self respect or her own self respect is involved. If the parent is loud, then the child will suddenly, feel so embarrassed that if the parent is, fighting, then again you are embarrassed. So it's the peer pressure and the self respect, everything comes into play when a parent is coming to the school. And also, the child wants to better the parent. Every child wants to do, and every human being actually likes to put the best foot forward. And the main example in front of him is the parents. So if Einstein's parents did not give him, no, that is not a good example. Basically, to say simply, the child wants to, somebody who's very fond of eating, his child will suddenly not want to eat food at all, and he'll be very fussy about food and will try to be underweight. Mostly it happens like this. So this talking is something that they probably, I mean, in this context, I feel is just the child is so embarrassed that the parent is talking so much that the child goes on a total thing, quiet mode. Secondly, the children are also very different. A child who's very naughty, his public behavior is different, and he's talkative in school, he's very quiet at home. Or a child who's very quiet in the class may be very, very, so a child psychologist can probably answer better, but behavior in school and behavior at home can be absolutely different. It is accepted.
yeah.
It is this is what we've observed. I am not an authority to talk about it.
Okay, thank you. I will put Snigdha's question to the right people, and
Yeah.
perhaps they can answer that.
That would be better.
So, with this, if you allow me, I can put a vote of thanks, formal vote of thanks.
Yes.
So, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for sparing your time with us today. And thanks, sir. Really, due to I have no words to thank enough to Swamiji. He has been following us through most of the webinars and really guiding us through. And today, Professor Ambas has joined us, and with a short notice, and he has been so busy otherwise at his age, but he did not hesitate for a moment to tell us, yes, I will come. And we are really grateful to you, sir. You have taken the time, given us this opportunity to have really the person who has drafted the policies has given us the opportunity to hear from him. What better chance we can have? So that has been very great of you, very kind of you, and we are ever grateful to you for that. My thanks are also due to all our speakers, experts, who have actively supported us in this venture. In the series of webinars we started on 20th of February 2021. It is my duty to thank each one of them, starting from Ruma Purkastha, Dr. Meera Chadda, Miss Promita Mujumdar, Professor S.K. Palan, Miss Vandana Thapar, Miss Guta Duggal Legain, Professor Ajay Ghatar, Mr. Rajiv Sasdeva, Mrs. Stuti Kakkar, Mr. Amod Khan, and we finally today have Swamiji and Professor N.K. Ambatji. Thank you very much, sir. And apart from this, we had so many people to support us in this venture, especially Mr. Sunil Kumar, Mr. Prakash Bose, my teacher, and many others, including my supporting coordinators, Mr. Indrajit Mujumdar and Ravinder Bhatnagar. All deserves my sincere thanks and gratitude to make this series of webinars a grand success. We shall look forward for your continued support in our future endeavors. And I may also mention here that the three verticals we could draw from the experience that we have gathered during these webinars, we have chosen tentatively three very important verticals that we can work in future. One is development of mentors. Today also the talk drawn us to that how to develop mentors which will guide the children of tomorrow, who will be the leaders tomorrow. Second point is the development of ethics in every walk of life. This point was also specifically taken up by Professor Ambasji, and it is a focus area. I feel some concerted effort must be taken on it. And third, of course, the education policy we recently had, government had declared, but I believe a lot of action, ground level action is to be taken into it. So probably one, Ambasji had already suggested that like Navodaya Vidyalaya set up in the Gurukul system, in the new system, should be set up in every district. It's a very noble idea, and idea has to be followed up. Some people we should go in a war footing to take it up. It should be our agitation to do. Only political agitation does not mean anything. Let us agitate for something which is not politically motivated. Let us try to work on that, which try to develop each person, the human value in the people of this country, to develop this country. Parenting, training, as Maharaj has suggested, and also Professor Ambast has given this a very, very noble idea that what we are teaching and why we are teaching. We really have never questioned this to anybody. Neither we have questioned the teachers, nor the teacher have questioned why I am teaching this, or what I am teaching. And then finally, of course, the education is not an education for getting a job. It is for making a human being. As Swami Vivekananda said, make a perfect human being. That is the motto of the society. With these words, let me thank you all, and my grateful thanks to all of you for have kindly supported every step to us to make this program a grand success. Thank you. Thank you. We'll take forward lot of inputs given by you so that we can do something more, and we'll look forward for support from each one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Duggal. Madam Duggal.
Thank you and congratulations on the series. You have been such a motivator.
You must meet Professor Mr. Bose. He has retired from the Director of Education as a Joint Director, Deputy Director. But he has been associated very closely with CBSE and NCERT. Sir, Professor, can you put on your mic? Sir, yes, sir. Now it is. I think I would like to introduce you to Mrs. Duggal, she has been a principal in DPS school. Few DPS schools, the founder principal, and she was my son's teacher, firstly. And he is my teacher. Mr. Bose is my teacher.
Sir, here's an example of a parent and a teacher bonded for like how many years now? 15? 12?
Yes, 20 years now, 20 years,
Yes.
20 years. And with Mr. Prakash Bose, it is now
74 years.
it has
Sir, I'm just an honest lifelong learner, nothing else.
73 years,
74 rather.
74 rather. Geeta ji has written so many books for the schools, and she has been in teachers training also involved a lot. And Mr. Prakash Bose has been doing lot of all your South Delhi schools, your DPS RK Puram. He was a teacher in DPS RK Puram, and Prakash ji was a governing body member, government nominee in DPS RK Puram. And still he is in the government. Still he is in many schools governing body because of our involvement earlier as a government nominee in various schools. He was looking after all the schools in South Delhi. Army Public School, Naval School, all public schools of South Delhi. He was the governing body member.
In fact, I was very much closely associated with the DPS for a long time.
Sir.
And as a member of that, then in fact, practically you can say I am connected with all the education system in Delhi, whether it is NCRT, whether it is open school, or whether National Testing Agency, or whether CBS. I went worked there in CBSE on deputation there.
Sir.
And